Commander, I wasn't about to say anything. Nobody's talking to you, Vinny. Yes, sir. Executive Officer Pip. Commander, what the devil is going on here? Vinny Rizzo replied. However you see, sir, if you'll forgive us, sir, I think it would be better if we called off the mission. Sir, our men are a bit battle-weary. There's good thinking in sin. Good thinking there. Negative. Commander Quibble. Now, you get your men on board. I don't know what's going on here, but this is no longer a request. Commander, it is an order. Commander Quibble. Full speed ahead to your combat mission. Norcross commanded. Well, as long as you put it that way. Commander Norcross, sir. Q. Quibble sighed in defeat. All right, men. Battle stations. Let's move on. After you, Commodore. The Seahound cut through the choppy waters, with Commodore Norcross and Lieutenant Crider aboard, watching Commander Q Quibble and his crew perform their mission. After what seemed like an eternity of circling uninhabited islands, Norcross turned to Q. This is the heat, sir. Are you sure you know what you're doing, Commander Quibble? Norcross asked, bewildered. I mean, we've been circling these same islands for the last hour. Commander Quibble. Well, that's his strategy, sir. You see, he fools the enemy by pretending that he's lost at sea. Commodore knew. It always works, sir. Pippin explained earnestly. If I may suggest, Commander, why don't we return to base and try another day, sir? This seems rather inefficient. Lieutenant Crider interjected. Now, look here, Ensign. Good thinking. Executive Officer Pippin. A secure home station is mine. We're heading you in, if you don't mind. Commander Quibble, why don't we return to base? Q Quibble declared, tired of the charade. Why don't I take the wheel, Commander? Norcross suggested. Right, but hold it steady, Commodore Norcross. Like I taught you, the scuttlebutt armada nips up on sonar 2,000 yards. Bang! Oh no! Q Quibble suddenly shouted, as a simulated explosion rocked the vessel. Battle stations, boys, take your hands off the wheel. Commodore, stand by your depth charges. Sparks, Vinny. Deep within the labyrinthine folds of the Coral Cascade Archipelago, where sun-drenched volcanic peaks pierced the perpetually cerulean skies, lay Bump. It was less a naval base and more a loosely supervised maritime reclamation project, perpetually teetering on the precipice of outright disorganization. Here, the strictures of naval discipline seemed to melt faster than a popsicle on a scorching deck plate, particularly under the lenient, albeit perpetually anxious command of Admiral Octavius Ironsides Finchley. Admiral Finchley, a man whose career had been a masterclass in elegant delegation, sat hunched over his desk, a crumpled in his trembling hand. His usually starched admiral's uniform, tailored to within an inch of military precision, now seemed to sag with the weight of the world. Or, more accurately, the entire logistical quagmire of Bumfozella. His prominent brow was furrowed like a plowed field, and a single bead of sweat traced a path down his ruddy cheek. He imagined the words on the paper swirling, taunting him, whispering accusations of inefficiency and dereliction. The very air in his office, usually cooled by a temperamental, clanking ceiling fan, felt suddenly heavy, thick with the humid certainty of impending disaster. Suddenly, a voice, a veritable foghorn in the relative calm of his office, cut through the tension. Admiral, sir, 1,000 pardons for the unscheduled ingress, but urgent intelligence requires your immediate cerebration. Sir. It was Quartermaster Finnegan Finn O'Malley, the very embodiment of the term flustered efficiency at Finn, a man of perpetual motion and even more perpetual consternation, bounced into the office, his neatly trimmed ginger beard almost vibrating with nervous energy. His spectacles, perched on a nose slightly too large for his face, threatened to slip off with every emphatic head nod. He clutched a sheaf of requisitioned forms, their edges dog-eared from countless revisions and unfulfilled promises. Finnegan had been Finchley's right-hand man for nearly a decade, primarily because no one else could tolerate Finchley's unique brand of micromanagement through anxiety. Finn was also responsible for the general welfare of the entire base, a task that perpetually pushed him to the brink of a complete mental unraveling. He considered every unstocked item a personal affront, every loose bolt a cosmic injustice, and every misplaced paperclip a direct threat to the very fabric of naval security. Finchley, startled by Finn's sudden appearance, nearly leapt from his seat. His spectacles, perched precariously on his nose, threatened to abandon ship entirely, dangling by one arm from his ear. He fumbled to secure them, his hands shaking slightly. O'Malley, blast and botheration. Man, must you always herald your arrival like a charging rhinoceros, scattering all sense of decorum and quiet contemplation. He adjusted his glasses, trying to project an air of command that was rapidly dissipating faster than a fresh deployment of bug spray on a mosquito swarm. And what precisely, Quartermaster, is so urgent that it demands such theatricality? Has the supply of coconut oil run dry? Have the junglefowl organize a strike against the mess hall? Speak, man, for Neptune's sake. Finnegan, impervious to the Admiral's theatrical exasperation, slammed a hand down on the requisition stack, making the loose papers tremble like a frightened squadron of pigeons. Garter belts, sir. Garter belts. The nurses of the Crimson Cross Brigade. Sir, they're in a right pickle. A desperate, unprecedented pickle, sir. Not enough garter belts to go round. Sir, they've been petitioning for weeks, filing the appropriate forms but the quartermaster's storeroom is drier than a forgotten biscuit on a desert patrol. Their morale, Admiral, is teetering on the precipice of utter collapse due to this dire shortage of foundational support. Admiral Finchley blinked, then rubbed his temples with a hand that felt suddenly heavy and clammy. Garter belts. He repeated the words to himself, mouthing them soundlessly, as if trying to decipher a cryptic enemy code whispered through the wind-swept palms. Garter belts. In the grand theater of global conflict, amid tales of torpedo runs and strategic bombing raids, of heroic skirmishes and dire sacrifices, the current most pressing emergency on Bumf, the linchpin of his entire command, involved intimate apparel. Such was the singularly baffling and utterly exasperating life of the commanding officer in a Coral Cascade. He envisioned Grand Admiral Granite Jaw Thornton, the fearsome inspecting officer whose very name struck terror into the hearts of officers from the highest brass to the lowest swab, reacting to such a requisition. The mental image of Thornton, with his unyielding jaw and glacial gaze, perusing a formal request for elasticized thigh-high retainers, regulation issue. Nurses caused an involuntary shiver to run down Finchley's spine, making his already ill-fitting uniform seem to constrict. Garter belts. O'Malley, is this some sort of an infernal jest? A poorly conceived comedic sketch? Perhaps, while the brave men and women of our fleet are facing down enemy torpedoes, braving the elements, and standing vigilant against the encroachments of a cunning foe. You bring me the tribulations of undergarments, the intimate concerns of a select cadre of the medical staff. Has the entire universe taken leave of its senses? O'Malley? Finchley spluttered, his face growing a shade redder than the hibiscus blossoms that perpetually plagued the base's sanitation systems. He gestured wildly around his office, encompassing the faded charts, the precariously stacked manuals, and the general air of organized chaos that was Are there no more pressing matters? Quartermaster, no. Tactical maneuvers requiring my immediate tactical genius. No vital supply routes too secure. Nothing to inspire a man of my caliber to greatness. Finnegan, however, was resolute, unwavering in his conviction that the garter belt crisis was indeed a strategic imperative. Sir, with all due respect, and acknowledging the grave sacrifices being made across all theaters of war, morale on a remote island is as crucially vital as munitions in the armament stores. Sir, the fine nurses of the Crimson Cross, who toil performing miracles of healing daily, under the most challenging tropical conditions, deserve every comfort and assistance we can provide, Admiral. If a simple garter belt provides even an iota of comfort, of dignity, of professional poise in their strenuous and often harrowing duties, then by Neptune's trident, they shall have them. You, sir, are the Quartermaster General here, the ultimate arbiter of all supply needs. From medical dressings to elasticized foundational garments, this was a blatant overstatement of Finchley's actual role, as Finnegan well knew. But he was a master of hyperbolic flattery when expediency and the dire urgency of undergarment procurement demanded it. You snap to it, Admiral. Shake a leg, sir. Bestir yourself with all haste. Oh, you know what I mean, Admiral, sir. The expeditious procurement of these essential items is paramount. Finnegan then gestured vaguely towards his own legs, as if indicating the vigorous and quite possibly acrobatic activity required to acquire such elusive items from the military supply chain. Finchley slumped back into his oversized, creaking office chair, the defeat of his argument momentarily etched upon his features. He felt the weight of every garter belt, every unresolved requisition, every unaddressed issue of